Hey everybody, I'm Ted from Tebex. In this quick guide, we will take a look at the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or DMCA to make it a little bit simpler, and how this affects your Tebex web store. Understanding DMCA is the key to protecting your own creations, but also respecting others' intellectual property. I will try to keep things brief and then link to the proper links in the description. You can also find the chapters in the time bar and also in the description. We will first take a look at the DMCA basics. We will then take a look at some of the common misconceptions about the DMCA. We will then take a look at some of the best practices around working with intellectual property. And then we will take a look at the DMCA in a few different situations. For example, what to do if you get a DMCA notice, and also when to file a DMCA takedown yourself. You can also find these different chapters in the description and on the time bar. So let's start with the basics. The DMCA is a United States law from 1998, and this regulates the copyright on the internet. In simple terms, it allows creators to have their content removed if someone is using it without permission. Tebex follows the DMCA process to address all these claims, and while it is a United States law, this applies to all Tebex creators regardless where you are from. So it's a legal tool to take down copyrighted content on the internet. So when do you file a DMCA takedown? You only do this for genuine copyright violations because false claims have consequences. This is written into the law. From a general overview, how do you file a takedown? You would first gather evidence to show that it's your intellectual property that's being used. Then you submit that claim to the Tebex form or email. How do you respond if you receive a takedown notice? Accept it if you are in the wrong and delete the infringing content. But you could also file a counter notice if you believe that you actually hold the rights. There are consequences though, because misuse can lead to your store being banned or even legal action. If you make a knowingly false claim, the legitimate copywriter can take you to court for financial damages. So let's take a look at some of the best practices around intellectual property. Only sell or upload content that you own or have permission to use. If you're unsure if you're able to use something, it's better to just avoid it, or you can try to contact the copyright holder and see if you can get permission to use it. Avoid using third-party brands or content unless allowed. Just because you see a brand in a game or server doesn't mean it's automatically allowed. If you are creating something, don't get your store into issues just because others don't know or don't follow the rules. You should respect licenses and community guidelines. Try to resolve disputes amicably before filing a DMCA notice. Starting the DMCA process is quite a big step. If someone is using your content, try to contact them and ask them to remove it. There might be a misunderstanding and no bad intentions. You should also document your work to prove originality. If you document the whole creation and someone later strikes you with a DMCA notice, it is a lot easier to prove that this is an original creation. You should also familiarize yourself with the Tebex policies and resources. Let's take a look at some common misconceptions about the DMCA law. If it's online, I can use it as long as I give credit to the owner. This is something many people seem to assume, that anything publicly available is just free to use. But in reality, copyright doesn't work that way. Content on the internet is not just automatically free to use just because it's accessible. Some people think if I change it a little bit or a part of it, it's not copyright infringement. For example, a 10-second clip of something or just a snippet of a code or slightly edited, this is not okay to use without permission. Any unauthorized use of copyrighted material can be infringement, even if it's just a small part or a altered version. There is no magic 10% rule in copyright law. If the content is recognizably derived from someone else's work, you likely need permission. Another misconception is if the creator hasn't registered the creation, then there's no copyright. Just because you cannot find proof of a copyright claim doesn't mean something is okay to use. The minute someone creates something unique and it's fixed in a tangible way, this also includes publishing it to the internet, then they have the copyright for it, regardless of if it's registered or not. Registering it just makes it easier to prove when you created it. And lastly, the DMCA is only for big companies and not for individual creators. The DMCA is for any copyright holder, big or small. If you are a solo developer, creator or mod maker and someone steals your work, you absolutely can use the DMCA process to protect your creation. So what should you do when you get a DMCA notice? If Tebex sends you a DMCA notice, it means that the content has been restricted and you should remove it. You should assess whether you infringed on copyright, and if so, remove the content. If you believe that the claim is wrong, you can file a counter notice. Don't try to re-upload it. If we don't receive notification from the original claimant that they are taking legal action, then Tebex will automatically republish the content. Some information about filing a counter notice. If you believe that your content was wrongly removed, file a counter notice. This involves providing your contact information, identifying the removed content, and a statement under penalty of perjury. Once submitted, Tebex will review it and then inform both parties. If the claimant doesn't escalate the issue, then the content will be restored in 10 to 14 business days. When should you file a DMCA takedown? You should only file a DMCA takedown if you are sure that your content has been used without permission. Misusing DMCA for a competitive reason or revenge is illegal. So make sure that you have a legal right to file before proceeding. Finally, as a conclusion, the DMCA system helps protect creators, but misuse or ignoring the process can have serious consequences. Always act in good faith and follow the rules to ensure a fair and lawful experience for everyone.